change, the most dramatic ice ages, the dramatic warming and cooling of the planet all happened before man was even around for the most part.
Okay.
And even when man was here, man was only burning fires. So we've had carbon in the air 600 times what we have now. And so it's gone up and down. And I'm not saying we should forgive and discount pollution, but we should not be so alarmist that we're willing to give up all the American jobs based on computer modeling that has been notoriously inaccurate over the last 15 years.
I just want to read this from the NASA website. The current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely, and they define that as greater than 95% probability, to be the result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented over decades to millennia. So you're saying that those are the NASA scientists.
I know, but why did we change the name from global warming to climate change? Because there's some uncertainty now whether it's getting warmer or colder. And I can tell you, if you look at the details of the modeling and the projections in the last 15 years, they've been altered almost every year because their modeling doesn't add up. All of these people saying we're going to have a 100-foot rise in our seas in the next 100 years, that kind of alarmism is not scientific. And actually, if you read many of the people who do want to control pollution, they will tell you that that's nonsense. And so a 100-foot rise in the seas in 100 years, the seas are 300 feet higher now than they were when man came across the Bering Straits, but that took thousands and thousands of years.
But so Senator, I'm just trying to get a straight answer on this question here about whether or not this NASA scientist I just quoted, whether they're wrong.
People who are saying that we're going to have mass extinction are wrong. People who say we're going to have a 100-foot rise in the oceans in the next 100 years are wrong. And the climatologists who have predicted things over the last 15 years have been, on large part, their modeling has been inaccurate and has had to be reformulated because the numbers you put in don't add up to what they're saying is occurring.
I'm not talking about the most dire extreme predictions, but even if there is a rise in the sea level of 5 feet or 10 feet, that can have a huge disruptive effect on.
Right. And I think it's completely unknown whether it'll be 5 inches or 5 feet. And I think until you have evidence that shows that we really are in such alarmist straits.
So wait for it to happen?
No, I think you have to have some evidence, though, and you should base things on evidence. And for the American worker that makes $20,000, $25,000 a year working in the American energy sector, to tell him we're just going to him or her that you're not going to have a job and China doesn't have to obey the same rules. The whole reason this Paris Accord should be done is not a debate over global warming or climate change or whatever you want to call it. It should be a debate over whether it's fair. Is it fair for China to keep polluting at alarming rates and for America to be the one cutting back on carbon and China does do nothing? Is it fair that Russia gets to increase their carbon output by 50%? That is not fair to America. It's not fair to the American workers. And I'm betting you that the viewership will say, you know what? America will say, we'd like to have jobs, and we don't want these alarmists who are saying that we're going to have mass extinction. We don't want these people in charge. They were in charge the past 8 years, and they tried to kill most of the jobs in my state. So I think people want jobs, and they want a clean environment, but they don't want alarmists in charge who take no account for American jobs.
Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, thank you so much for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.